Hello, this is Harry. In this video, let's watch the movie Colombiana about the revenge of a female assassin. Cataleya was born in Colombia. Her father, Fabio, worked under the local drug lord Luis. In order to let the family live a normal life, when Cataleya was 9 years old, Fabio resigned and handed over all the materials he handled before. Luis hypocritically showed his reluctance, then he sent his men to assassinate Fabio. Fabio knew that Luis would not let him go peacefully. As soon as he got home, he took his wife and Cataleya to escape, but it was too late. Luis' people had surrounded their house. Fabio handed Cataleya a memory card and a business card and told her, "In case anything happens, this is your passport." Then he put an ancestral orchid necklace on Cataleya's neck. Then Fabio and his wife went out to fight, but they were outnumbered. Cataleya watched her parents being shot to death with her own eyes. But instead of letting the tears drop, she buried her hatred in her heart. Luis's henchman, Marco, came to Cataleya to coax her to hand over the memory card. Cataleya agreed while slowly taking out the knife that father had hidden under the table. She pierced into Marco's hand fiercely, then jumped out the window quickly with her parkour skills and escaped. At the same time, she swallowed the memory card. Cataleya took advantage of familiar terrain and ran through the house and finally jumped into the underground channel to escape. After escaped, she came to the US Embassy with a business card according to her father's instructions. She handed over the memory card with evidence of Luis' crime. The people at the embassy immediately arranged a special plane to send Cataleya to Miami. After Cataleya got her visa at Miami airport, she escaped from the window and got into the car and headed to Chicago. She found her uncle based on the address her father gave her. At the moment when she saw her uncle, Cataleya's sadness and fear finally vented. Her uncle was also a mafia, but he wanted Cataleya to stay away from this life. So he sent her to school, but Cataleya stubbornly wanted to be an assassin killer. Uncle told her, "If you want to be a killer and survive, you got to be a smart one. Have to know things, pull the trigger, you got to learn how to be psychological. I cannot teach you that unless you learn the basics at a school." Then Cataleya picked up her school bag silently. Time flew. 15 years later, Cataleya had become a sexy girl. But the situation seemed a little bad at the moment. She was locked up in a cell for drunk driving and crashing a police car. A team escorting the criminal would stay there for one night, and this criminal was the target of Cataleya. When the time was right, Cataleya changed into her combat suit. She used a card to open the prison door to avoid surveillance. She climbed through the ventilation duct to the special area where the target was held. Then she knocked down the guard in the toilet and used the collapsed guard to avoid surveillance and entered the cell. Then she killed the target with the guard's gun. After hearing the gunfire, the police arrived. Only the guard with a bewildered look with a gun there, and Cataleya had escaped and pretended to sleep in her cell. Because Cataleya didn't hurt anyone while driving, she was released the next day. The police sent an agent from the FBI, James, to investigate the case. James discovered that this time the victim was also painted with a mysterious orchid pattern. In the past 4 years, 22 murders were discovered using the same technique. So he thought the killer was sending a signal to someone. So this pattern was published in newspapers and magazines across the country. He wanted to use this to find clues to the killer. Sure enough, some people couldn't sit still. Richard of the CIA saw the newspaper and went to Luis's house. It turned out that the CIA got Luis out of Colombia 15 years ago and brought him to New Orleans. This orchid painted by the killer only grew in Colombia, so they thought it must be the revenge of Cataleya who escaped back then. James caught the killer among the 10 arrested that night and asked to investigate the detailed files of each of them in the past 10 years. Cataleya had a painter boyfriend, Danny. Danny was also a poor man. He knew nothing about his girlfriend's identity. The only name he knew was also fake. Every Cataleya's mission was given by her uncle. Her uncle saw the newspaper and realized that Cataleya had never given up revenge. She drew orchids on corpses every time. The purpose was to draw Luis out. Her uncle worried about Cataleya's safety and advised her to stop immediately. But Cataleya had been waiting for this revenge for 15 years. This was her motivation to live. How could she give up easily? Cataleya's mission this time was to assassinate a commercial fraudster. The target's house was tightly guarded, but Cataleya still could swim past the shark's pool to kill the guards. Then she shot the target and fed him to the sharks. Cataleya left an orchid at the scene. James found out that the name of this flower was Cataleya. He wanted to find information about the Colombian mafia, but they were all sealed by the CIA. He called the CIA to ask Richard for help but was rejected. Richard was afraid of being investigated by the FBI. He urged Luis's men to find Cataleya to solve the matter. When there was no mission, Cataleya would come to her boyfriend's house for a date. This time, Danny took a profile photo while she was asleep. Then Cataleya came to the agreed place to meet her uncle. Her uncle told her to stop revenge because she was not safe now. Luis had killed 8 people in Miami to find Cataleya. The uncle persuaded her that revenge wouldn't change anything. He hoped Cataleya could have her own life. Cataleya watched the photos of her parents in pain. Danny confided to his friend that he loved Cataleya very much. But he didn't even have her contact information, only just a secretly taken profile photo. Danny's friend sent the photo to a relative who worked at the police station to help. When Cataleya's photo was transferred to the police database, James also received the information. After the comparison, Cataleya was determined to be the one who attacked the police station. James tracked Cataleya's location by locating Danny's phone. When Cataleya found out, the special forces had already come downstairs. She quickly came to the spare room next door, randomly stunned a lucky audience. She took out the hidden weapons and installed the bomb. When the police intruded her room, the bomb exploded through the wall from the elevator shaft to the underground garage. Then she slipped from the ventilation pipe to the subway maintenance room and escaped smoothly. But when she came to her uncle's house, she found out that Grandma and Uncle had been killed. Cataleya lost her only two relatives left in the world. She knew that Luis had sent someone to do this. But Luis was protected by the CIA and she could not find his place. So at night, Cataleya sneaked into James's house and threatened him with his family to make him go to the CIA to find Luis's place. Richard was, of course, reluctant to reveal any information. But under the deterrence of Cataleya's sniper, Luis's address was given out. Cataleya rushed to Luis's residence in New Orleans overnight. She used just a rocket launch to clear the way. It was a pity that Luis just injured a little. Luis and the others didn't even have any thoughts of fighting back. All he could think about was to run. Cataleya drove the truck through the wall and blocked the way. After a fierce fight, Luis's men were killed and injured. Cataleya and Marco had a hand-to-hand battle. The two began fighting together. Marco picked up his gun and pointed it at Cataleya, but it was successfully resolved by Cataleya for 0.5 seconds and ended the battle. At this time, Luis was hiding in the secret door and trembling, hearing nothing outside. So he ran out and drove the car to escape. Just when he thought he was going to escape successfully, Cataleya called. Luis discovered that there were two fierce dogs in the backseat watching him. When Cataleya gave the order, she finally comforted her parents' souls in the sky with the enemy's blood. Well, this video ends here. Remember to like and subscribe.